Hey, greetings YouTube, Performance Reviews, where I give you the review from the technician's point of view. And today I have a very special machine because this is an S5000 series Miele. And this is a historically important Miele in that it was really what put them on the map here, at least in North America. Watching this overseas, I'm sure, are like, what am I talking about? Well, this is really the one that made an impact on the US market. It was lightweight, it was maneuverable, it was configurable. They made a lot of different variants of the S5. I have here an S5980. There was also an 81, which was in kind of a wine color. So what makes this so important, or the 5980 or 81 stand out, are you have your controls on your handle. We have our on-off. This is our brush roller on and off. And then we have various suction levels that go down. And they're the classic icons Miele's used, including the ear all the way up right there. There was no auto setting on the handle at this time, nor was the auto setting available on the handle. You only got the auto setting in a machine called either the Earth, or there was an Aquarius as well that had the auto setting. Now, this machine looks like I got it complete out of the box. I didn't. I kind of had to build it. It was one of the machines I found in the basement of a vacuum shop, but the paint was good. So what happens when you buy a vacuum that is $1,200 10 years later? Well, I didn't pay $1,200 for it, thankfully, though I think it was worth it. I really think these machines are worth what they ask. You know, selling these and repairing these over the years gives you an idea that it's a nice machine, but using it in your house brings it to a whole nother level. I was unable to explain to my customers how nice this was to use, and I see why my customers were satisfied for years with these machines. And I've still, if you had one of these secondhand and you had the opportunity to get one of these, I would recommend it. Though, again, being 12 years old, we might have to do some repairs. I had to put a cord rewind in this, and that was it, and a service. But if I was to retail that to a customer, that might be $300 to the average consumer. But again, I think if you got the machine at a good deal, that would be worth it. It's definitely better than anything else you could get in that price range. Now, I also have the manuals from when I used to sell them. So that's kind of cool. I actually have a nice little collection of manuals. And Miele manuals, if you've never seen one, because they're in so many different languages, and they cover so many different machines with the same manual. Okay, we have the original bags here. I'm going to talk about that in a second as well. They're very bad. It's about the only bad thing about a Miele, or the manuals are horrible, and they have a separate manual just to cover the warranty, which is the most descript, nondescript thing, I guess you could say. And literally it's like 4 pages talking about the warranty, and then it comes off into another language, and that just repeats. So that's what the paperwork I have with it. Now, this is kind of an unofficial vacuum of the month. I've been vacuuming this during quarantine, basically, so that's kind of cool. So I've really got a chance to use this. Now, this machine was not the first machine, but it was available with either an SEB 236 nozzle or a 217 nozzle, depending on what you chose at the time. There was about $100 difference when these were being sold. They were $11.99, so basically $1,200, or you could get it for $10.99 with the smaller nozzle. And this smaller nozzle they since have stopped making. There's no height adjustment, and these fine wheels tend to sink into carpet, making it really hard to push. This really just wasn't appropriate for American homes, and it wasn't until a couple years ago that they even discontinued this nozzle. Now, this machine was also the debut of the Twister parquet floor tool, this multi-jointed parquet floor tool with Miele's lineup. They also debuted a different docking system than previous models, though they all seem to be pretty interchangeable. On board, we had our standard Miele upholstery, dusting, and crevice tool. No radiator brush or anything like that. We had our full bag check indicator right there. And let's pull this bag out because I want to show you. It's pretty full. I've been vacuuming with it. Now originally this came with a much larger bag, and I've talked about that in other videos, but they originally had a bigger style GN bag, and they are now, gosh, they must be on their 10th revision of the GN bag. They keep making it better filtering, and they keep making the self-closability better, are the two primary things that they improve upon. And that just parks in there. Now it says it takes an N-style bag, but the bag dock is still a separate color. This was also one of two machines that debuted the newer style HEPA filter, which has the double gasket on it as well. And these were originally charcoal plus HEPA. As you can see, I've got a modern HEPA filter in there as well. Let's make sure that's closed all the way. I need to change that bag. There's a shut off right there for a parking spot. So it did have that. You also had a filter check light and a overheat lamp as well. The cord is about 20-25 feet. It's one of the shorter Miele cords. Later they would make it bigger on the S8. But yeah, I'd say it's about 20-25 feet. So converting that to the most even meter equivalent. I did just want to show the length of the cord. As you can see, it's not as long as you would expect on a premium vacuum, but it is there. I get about 3/4 of the way down the hallway, and then I run out of steam with the cord length, which is it's at a really frustrating length. Again, they would later solve this with the S8, but for a premium canister, it did seem a little bit short. It is longer, though, than the SIBO I reviewed a few months ago, so I'll say that. Again, both of these companies have come a long way in terms of cord length. I want to mention another part about the cord. I've put a piece of red tape on the cord, and what that does is let me know where the end is. It keeps me from overstressing the cord reel. I recommend that you do that anytime a manufacturer doesn't include a stop limiter. Most companies do. Miele never has. The other thing is this is before the one-touch cord reel, so it rewinds and then stops when you press the button. So you have to hold the button to rewind the cord, which it does very smoothly. So one of the other things that was done with the S5 and S4 series of canisters is it was made smaller, but they were able to increase the power about 10%. So it was really kind of an engineering marvel. And one of the reasons it was an engineering marvel is the motor was actually physically smaller. Now I have a Miele White Pearl next to it, which was full size. There was later a Blue Moon, which is about the same size, a little bit smaller, but the same sort of giant machine in comparison. I also have a Miele 500 series, which is a compact machine that takes a smaller bag, has a shorter cord, and you can see the S5 is smaller than both. It's also lighter than both of them. And if we look at them all on their sides, you can see kind of how it stacks up. It is smaller. Now also at the time, what would have been sold next to this machine would have been something like this Kenmore, which just about dwarfs, I have to zoom out a little bit, which just about dwarfs the Miele in terms of size and weight and all that. You can really see the difference in how sleek the Miele looks compared to its competition at the time. So again, the 5000 series really stood out at the time, and it still stands out today when we look at vacuums. It's one of the reasons why Miele is able to use their designs for so long, is they just do it right the first time. Now the hose on this Miele uses a 4-pin versus the previous 3-pin, which means the hose connects via analog to the board. And that's a good thing in terms of reliability. We saw reliability of the hoses on the circuit boards increase dramatically over the previous generation, the Blue Moon, which was one of the worst Miele generations ever made, but still wasn't perfect. At some point, they issued a circuit board and hose revision, and some people chose to replace them then. This hose is the original hose to this machine and is not of the newer generation, and you cannot cross-change the hoses without changing the internal circuit board on the machine. But for the most part, these have been pretty reliable in terms of hoses go. Now the part where I've all been waiting for, which is working vacuum. Let's see how much power this machine has Now I want you to take into account we are a mile above sea level, and that does affect our results. So we're getting about just 70 inches of sealed vacuum and just about 40 inches of working vacuum. Well, I've decided to change the bag because I've been using that same bag for about a month and a half in this machine. And you can see those numbers are a little bit better, just above 40 now, and just same sort of sealed. So just to give you an idea, the difference with a new bag. And you can also see the full bag indicator showing with the working vacuum. Well, we have our normal pickup test mess, our flour, our cat litter, breakfast cereal, and fresh dog hair. I'm going to do this with the hard floor tool. If you want to see how the same mess does with the bigger nozzle, I have a modern video on the Miele C3 with this picking up on hard floor. Nothing. And that's what we expect from a premium vacuum. All right, we have the same mess with our flour, our cat litter, breakfast cereal, and I put a little bit more dog hair down because I know how this is going to do. First, the full-size nozzle. Nothing. Let's try the smaller compact nozzle, which is hard to push on my carpet. I just felt it. There was one piece of cat litter. But other than that, it's clean. Cleaned all the hair as well. And again, for the price of this vacuum, this is what I would expect to see. All right, it's stair cleaning time. And there is something about a Miele and stairs that just always works. Not only are they always like the right footprint, they really think this out. But we can remove the wand and directly connect either of the power heads like so. The other thing that can be done is the upholstery tool. If you haven't experienced the Miele upholstery tool, it's just one of those things you have. Once you try it, you understand how well it works. I think it's the reason why still to this day most of the Miele vacuums are not sold with turbo tools. Let's try it on some pet hair. Now, as you can see, because of the, whoops, let me not turn the vacuum on. As you can see, because of the lint pickers, the shape of this and concentrating all the suction from the Miele into the shape of this, which is, oh gosh, it's about a third of the nozzle. It really doesn't struggle with pet hair. The 236 nozzle deserves its own review video, so I've decided that's what I'm going to do in terms of all of its features. This one is the fluorescent version. There was also an LED version. You have a 5 carpet height adjustment right here that's on a continuous loop. You have a shut-off here for if you get the vacuum caught in something. We have a brush roller with a line that you can cut off, get any hair off it. And this is the hair buildup after about a month of use. Not too much, mostly my wife's hair. You have center feed suction here and a off-center belt, so you have even edge cleaning, soft rubber wheels. Later models would have a squeegee here. This one does not. And it has a soft touch bumper around it. And when put on a 45-degree angle, it will lie flat. No problem getting under things, even with the bigger nozzle. I can fit my hand just fine. My final thoughts on the Miele 5980 or 8981. This vacuum was better than I ever could have told my customers in terms of its usability, its maneuverability. But it's not invincible like so many other vacuums. And part of the parts, you can see that this one's kind of scraped up. It's actually not as bad as some other ones. But this soft touch paint gets really scraped up pretty bad, and they usually look bad. So again, I've said this before, painting vacuums is not a good idea. Plasta dipping vacuums is a worst idea. And I'm glad that Miele has changed their finish on their vacuum, though that's ineffective in terms of the way of use. I would say it's easy to over pull a cord rewind when you don't know where it ends, which is part of the reason why Miele cord reels have a reputation. Now, if you found one of these on Craigslist in working order for under $100, I'd say definitely pick it up. It could be one of the best used vacuum buys out there. If it has this nozzle, you got to trash this nozzle. You have to have either a 228 or a 236 nozzle on here. You can put a 228 nozzle on here, no problem. The Parquet twister tool is among a favorite. Wonderful tool, and it will store on either side of the canister as well. Having the larger style GN bag is really nice. I'm amazed of how much dust and dirt I've been able to put in there. Also, using Miele's ecosystem and being able to purchase accessories and newer stuff is really a great idea. The hose handle is, of course, a place of concern, and you can see how beat up, again, a painted surface on a vacuum has gotten. So as always, give this video a thumbs up, hit that bell notification. You might not see my new videos if you just subscribe. That's the way YouTube is doing things these days. And stay awesome, folks.